Hey Hebrew fans, this is Todd. So today I'm going to talk about the Masters of the Universe figures, the first figures that came out in the 80s and how cool they were, like this He-Man figure right here. I remember when I first saw this figure, I was in the store and it was just so cool seeing him, and it's like, oh, this thing is so cool. And of course he came with his cool battle axe and his sword and his shield, and he was just so cool. But I didn't end up buying him that day. It wouldn't be years later till I actually got this figure for myself. But still, really cool figure. In fact, my first He-Man figure that was actually He-Man that I actually got was actually the Battle Armor He-Man. Years later that I'll kind of tell the story. My first real figure I got was actually Skeletor. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to talk about the Masters of the Universe and what figures are considered the essential figures to say, hey, I have them all. So I had a friend who contacted me and said, hey, I want to get all the He-Man figures and stick them in a glass case, and that'd really be cool. And so I said, well, what are all the He-Man figures? Is it all the variants? Is it all the special figures that were released only in Europe, or what is it? So I decided to sit down and figure out what I thought were all the figures, and I call them the essential figures. So with that, let's go ahead and start the figures released in 1982. So first thing we had is the 8-back, and the 8-back was really cool because it had, like, you know, our cool top 8 figures that we first got, which, you know, I thought they were really awesome figures. And so you can see here the 8-back we had, and it was just really cool figures. And so first figure up is He-Man. And you can see He-Man is one of my top 11 figures. That's why it has the red heart in the upper corner. And then it says essential figure because I think this is an essential figure. This is one you need to have in your collection if you are to say, I have all the figures. Now I'm talking about figures. I'm talking about the actual figures themselves, not the beasts and the play sets and the vehicles. Just the figures is all I'm talking about. All right. Essential figure number 2, Man-at-Arms. Also one of my top 11. That's why he has the red heart. Next we have Teela. Now Teela I give 2 hearts to. And the reason is, this is the cool original Teela we got a long time ago. And then later on we got some commemorative ones. But this figure was meant to be released as 2 separate figures. So you had the Warrior Teela, and then you had the other Teela that was the one that gave He-Man his battle armor and all his weapons and all the cool stuff. So what I used to do when I was a kid is I would actually swap her armor off and on to be 2 different characters. So my He-Man didn't change, but my Teela did change from Warrior Teela to regular Protector of Grayskull Teela. So there you go. Those are my two Teelas. So I got 2 hearts, and again is an essential figure you should have in your collection. Figure essential number 4, Stratos. I gave it a thumbs up because it's a cool figure, but not my top 11. Skeletor, again an essential figure number 5, and I give it a heart because it is one of my top 11. Beastman, again heart and essential figure number 6. And then Merman. How cool is Merman? Now it's funny, is originally Merman was meant to be a good guy, and he was to actually help He-Man, and they decided to make him a bad guy. And it's kind of funny because when my kids were little, my oldest son had Merman be his good guy. His name was Fred Eckler, and my kids played with him. And he actually rode the battle ram around, and he was actually a good guy on Eternia. And so I kind of liked the idea. In fact, we actually saw that in some of the comics. It actually shows Stratos as a bad guy sometimes. So you can see things kind of mix up. And we're going to even get to another one in a minute here. Zodak, it says he's neutral, but if you look at the card art in the back, it used to show him as evil, actually. So kind of one of those confusing things where, is he really evil? Is he neutral? Is he good? What is he? And of course the cartoon showed him as good. So, but I give him a thumbs up, cool figure, but not my top 11. And essential figure number 8. So then we come to Battle Cat, and Battle Cat, I did give 2 asterisks because if you are to say that yes, I have every single figure, you should have Battle Cat. Granted, it's not an action figure, but it is an essential thing. And in the cartoon, he was a character as well. I gave him a thumbs up and gave 2 asterisks because everybody should have Battle Cat in their collection, regardless if you say you have all the figures or not. I mean, He-Man and Battle Cat go together like Shaggy and Scooby. You just got to have them. Castle Grayskull. Now, this one I also gave asterisks to because you should have some way to represent Castle Grayskull in your collection, whether it's a custom Castle Grayskull or whether it's the Classics one or it's the Origins one. You should have some Castle Grayskull in your collection. And I give it a thumbs up because it's a really cool castle. All right, the Battle Ram. Now, the Battle Ram is one of my favorite vehicles they ever made because it turns into two vehicles. You pull it apart, you can fly it around, and it was so cool. And I gave it a thumbs up, and I think you should probably have this in your collection too, but not an essential figure because it's not a figure. The Wind Raider, pretty cool vehicle. I like it. And on to the next year, 1983. In 83, we had the 12-back. And this 12-back right here is kind of cool because it shows a lot of the figures. Here they are right there. But it doesn't show them all. There's actually two figures that are missing on this card, and that is Evil-Lyn and Zodak. Now, Zodak came out last year, but Evil-Lyn came out this year. So I don't know why they didn't show her on the 12-back, but there's also some errors on this 12-back. Take a look at Trapjaw, for instance. Trapjaw is missing his jaw, and he's missing his armor on his right side that's supposed to be right around his arm. So he's missing his jaw piece and his arm on this. I imagine when they made the picture, they made him in layers or something. They just left this layer off, is what I'm guessing. That's all I can imagine that they did to cause this issue. And then take a look at Ram Man. Look how built Ram Man is. I mean, when I got him, I was kind of disappointed that his arms did not look just all beefy and monstrous like they show in this picture here. So the Ram Man they gave us was kind of, you know, like an old washed-up football player, a wrestler, kind of a chubby muscle kind of guy. But look how cool he looks there. And then, of course, Man-E-Faces. Man-E-Faces, always a cool figure, but if you look at it, it shows his tubes connected right to his helmet. And we saw with our Man-E-Faces, the tubes were actually hooked into his skin. Now, this orange, I always assumed was his skin color, right? His arms, biceps are orange, his legs are orange, his face is orange. But then it has orange around his helmet, and it's like if his skin's stretching around the sides of his helmet, that's kind of pretty gross there. If you think about it, it's kind of like, they cut his skin and shoved a helmet inside of it and had his flesh go around his helmet. That's kind of weird. Now, one cool feature about this, as many of you know, is you could change his head. Look at that. I am a robot. Monster. Oh, attack. And then, of course, we have the human. And this is why I thought his skin was that orange color, because it is the same color as the orange everywhere else. All right, so there he is, essential figure number 9 and one of my top 11. Now, when you did get this figure, you may have got him like this, without the sword, though. Or you may have got him with these cool extra weapons. And these were, we used to call it Man-E weapons in the collector world, but it meant that he came with extra weapons included that were all kind of a maroon color, which kind of matches the color of the same weapons that were with Wonder Bread He-Man, or Mail Away He-Man, or whatever you want to call him. All right. Ram Man, always a fun figure. You squish him down, push the button, joop, and he shoots forward a little bit to knock people over. So, essential figure number 10, and one of my top 11. Zor, awesome bird. Gave it a thumbs up. Evil-Lyn, one of my top 11 as well. Pretty cool figure. Essential figure number 11. Faker, essential figure number 12. I didn't even give Faker a thumbs up. I mean, Faker's just a blue He-Man. They're just saving money on the mold by using Skeletor's armor and He-Man's body and changing the colors. And it's like, what? This is a new character? I don't think so. The only thing that's new on him is a sticker on his chest, which I know people have said it's supposed to be a cassette tape. It's not a cassette tape. The old computers in the 70s and early 80s had giant tape drives inside these big old boxes that were their memory storage, and it would have the tape drive you'd see spin back and forth different ways depending on where they stored the random access, or where it stored the files at. And so that's what this is supposed to be. But it'd be cool if they actually cut his chest and indented those things in there and put a clear piece over the top. Then it would have been an awesome figure. But just a sticker stuck on top of his chest, not really that impressive. I did see him in the store, and I was kind of debating whether to buy him or a different figure. And like I said, my first figure I got was Skeletor. Must have been in 83, because that's when Faker came out, and I saw Faker on the shelf too. So there you go. All right, next we have Trapjaw. Trapjaw is one of my top 11 as well, and he is essential figure number 13. He had interchangeable weapons, and of course I made a ton of cool custom pieces for him as well that matched the cartoon. Triclops. Now, Triclops originally was going to be a good guy, and he's one of those figures they decided, you know, they made heroic limbs on him, heroic arms, heroic legs, and they decided to go ahead and make him a bad guy to make the roster a little more even on the good guy, bad guy spectrum. Panther, awesome figure. You should have him. You can see my Skeletor and Panther right there. He is a pretty cool figure. Screech, gotta have that. And then we have the Point Dread and Talon Fighter. I didn't give it a thumbs up, even though it is cool. It goes on top of the castle. But it's not really an essential thing. But if you have it, that's cool. Attack Track. No thumbs up for this. This thing had problems with breaking. First of all, the battery cover stored on the bottom did not always latch. So a lot of times people would lose the battery cover on the bottom. The wheels would sometimes crack off the sides. And the belt would turn dry and crack off as well. It's just, I mean, it looks cool and could be fun, but it just has too many issues so this is not one of my thumbs ups. Special Edition He-Man. Dun dun dun. Sometimes people call him Wonder Bread He-Man, Savage He-Man, Mail Away He-Man, In-Store Giveaway He-Man. He didn't normally come with the armor, but people would put the armor on him just because they had extra armor from the armor pack. And then he also, I actually added the black gun to him too, that way he can match. But he also came with one of the maroon weapons that came with the Manny weapons. So you can kind of see those maroon weapons. Now these here are just ones I painted. And this is actually just my custom Wonder Bread He-Man made from a Fisto. Because you can see his hand still goes chink like Fisto's does. The original was not. But the reason why I used Fisto to make this was because I wanted his shorts to be brown plastic. So when you pull his leg back, you would see that it was brown plastic inside and not just brown paint. So it looks more authentic. But anyway, this is my cool custom Wonder Bread He-Man. And there he is. And he is a pretty cool looking figure. Now, I did do a lot of fixes on him through the years. So there he is. Fake Wonder Bread He-Man. But it would be cool to have a real one, but just not worth the price. If you do have a real one, though, you are a top collector. I call this top collector item. It is one that gets that award. So if you have the top collector item on yours, then you are a top collector if you happen to have the Wonder Bread He-Man. All right, next year, 1984. So in this year, we got our Battle Armor He-Man. There he is. Now, like I said, I was unable to get He-Man as a kid. I'd usually use my Zodak to pretend like he was He-Man, and he had a helmet on. It's kind of funny. When I got this figure, here's how I got him, right? I was supposed to buy my sister a Christmas present, and I was at JCPenney's looking for something for her. And while I was standing in line, right there, I had her present in my hand. Right there behind me was a bunch of He-Man figures, and here was Battle Armor He-Man. And I saw him, and I was like, oh. And the back of the box showed how to fix his armor when he gets hit. Ba-ching, right? And so it showed these, like a giant thumb going on there for the picture. And so I didn't know if it's some kind of thing where the thumb would rub back and forth and mush out the damage you made or how it worked. But I had to know. And next thing I know, I was putting my sister's Christmas present down and picking up my first He-Man figure. And I used my Christmas money for my sister to buy myself a He-Man figure. And I got myself my first Battle Armor He-Man. And of course, he didn't come with a shield because his armor is his shield. And so this was my first actual He-Man figure. So when I see this, to me, this is He-Man right here. Battle Armor He-Man. There he is. And he is such a cool figure. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue. So he is essential figure number 15. Not my top 11 because I already picked this He-Man. And basically, I'm only going to pick one He-Man figure. But I do have them both so I can swap them out when it comes time when I has to go to Battle Armor mode. Buzz Off. I got a Buzz Off as a kid only because I wanted a figure and it was the last one there sitting on the shelf that I didn't already have, so that's how I got my Buzz Off. Fisto, give him a thumbs up. He's an awesome figure. Mekaneck. Mekaneck was always the guy that I would have get captured first, right? So when the bad guys would come, they would take Mekaneck, and He-Man had to save him. He was my damsel in distress, if you will. I mean, Mekaneck to me was always kind of, I hate to say it's kind of a worthless figure. It's like he wore this long sleeve blue shirt. Wait a sec. He's wearing what I'm wearing right now. And then he had his arm over the top, and his neck would go up, you know, and he could, you know, periscope out and see things. But he is still an essential figure. You should have him in your collection if you were to say, I have all the figures. He's one of the figures you should have. All right, Orko. No thumbs up for Orko. Sorry, guys. But it's still an essential figure. Prince Adam. The first time I saw Prince Adam, I was at my friend's house visiting, and his little brother had him. I picked him up, and I said, oh, look at this cool figure. He's got purple pants and a white shirt. And he goes, yeah, he's got a vest, too. And he put the vest on. I'm like, oh, that is so cool. He-Man in clothes, you know. And I thought it was really neat. So I've always kind of liked the way Prince Adam's looked as a toy. I like the burgundy vest and stuff. It's just cool. Normally, he should have a yellow button on the front of his shirt, too. For this picture, I guess it wasn't on there, but normally he has that as well. All right. Battle Armor Skeletor. Essential figure number 11, or 21. And, of course, thumbs up for him. Now, you can see the one I had. I added some extra claws to him from Wolverine, because I wanted my Battle Armor Skeletor to be Battle Ready Skeletor. And there he is with his giant claws that I got. I never had the Terror Claws Skeletor. I thought this was way cooler than Terror Claw Skeletor. No need for Terror Claw Skeletor after you steal his claws from Wolverine. And it's just way cooler looking. Now, this particular Skeletor, I actually got him when my wife were on vacation. We were in Las Vegas, and I used my money that I had for gambling to buy him. He's actually a commemorative. And then I stuck those big claws on him. So that was pretty cool. Clawful. Thumbs up for Clawful. Clawful the Awful. Jitsu. You can't have Fisto without Jitsu. You got to have Jitsu. So, thumbs up for him. Cobra-Con. Such a fun figure. You can fill him full of alcohol and have fire blasts out of him if you want to. So, that was kind of a fun figure to have. Cobra-Con. So many different ways you can make him do cool things. So, that was always fun. Webstor. Now, Webstor was my second oldest son's favorite figure. I don't know why he liked Webstor. He's always been a fun figure for him. Thumbs up. I always liked him. He pulled the string on his backpack, and the string would get longer. And as it got longer, the top string would get shorter, which would also then pull him up the string at the same time. Basically, had a two-pulley system, a small pulley and a large pulley. And those pulleys together would do the, if you do science, work equals force and stuff. And anyway, basically, you pull the string, and the Spider-Man guy goes up. It's pretty cool. And essential figure number 25. Whiplash. Not a thumbs up for him. He's okay. Essential figure number 26. Snake Mountain. What a fun playset. Now, I never had this as a kid, but I seen some of my friends had them, and it was a really cool playset. The microphone, how cool is that? Anyway, let's continue on. Stridor, fun toy. Now, he always came with Fisto because they were both released at the same year. So you can see a 2-pack of Stridor and Fisto, or just 1-pack of Stridor and a 1-pack of Fisto. But if people always wonder, why do those two come together? And it's just because they're released the same year. Now, in reality, he'd fit much better with Rio Blast. Rio Blast needed a horse. This would be perfect for him. So that'd be a good fit for him. But I personally, for my Rio Blast, got him his own horse. Just because Fisto gets this one, because that's the way it has always been. So my nose is really itching. Dragon Walker. Now this is kind of cool. The idea is it can actually go over trenches by flinging its legs around, and if you line it up just right, you can actually line up tables together and get that gap to be just right so that will walk over the gap. And when that happens just right, it's so much fun to watch. Whoop, as it flips around, the weight's transferred, and it makes it across that open gap. If you ever line one up just right and you get it to happen, it's kind of a fun thing. I don't have a Dragon Walker anymore, otherwise I would set it up and show you guys how cool it is, but oh well, you get the idea. Road Ripper. Now Road Ripper was always a blast because you pull that ripcord and the back wheel spins, and as it spins it takes off, and it's a big heavy wheel. Well, when my kids were younger, we would take and we would load data in the back of my Roboto. Now this is my classics version Roboto, but I had the same thing with the 80s version. It's just a thumb drive stuffed in there. And we would load the plans to Man-at-Arms' new weapon that he had. And so the kids would load him up in Road Ripper, and then have him zip across the kitchen, through the dining room, into the hallway by their bedrooms. And the bad guys would be on both sides trying to catch him while he's zipping through the Road Ripper. Because if he doesn't get the secret plans to the good guys from Man-at-Arms, they will not be able to defeat the evil masters of the universe. So that was always kind of a fun thing with using the Road Ripper to fast speeds. Roton's always fun because the whole thing spins around in the center part like a giant saw blade. Now, it's not sharp or anything because obviously it's a kid's toy. But I just imagine, you know, if that was like a giant saw blade. And I did have some temptations to swap mine out with a saw blade, but I never did. But anyway, kind of cool. Weapons pack. You got to get the weapons pack. I mean, the weapons pack, first of all, you need the black Zodak armor to put on Zodak to make an evil version and a good version. You need the blue axe to go with Beastman. You need the blue sword to go with Stratos. You need the sword to go with Manny Faces, because, you know, he needs an extra weapon besides just his gun if you didn't get the Manny weapons. The yellow armor Beastman, a lot of people put them on Mossman. I actually put mine on my Webstor, and I gave him the whip, and I called him Beastmaster. So he had the blue and the yellow armor, and it just really set off the colors well. And then the shield, you get the Man-at-Arms, and the rest of the weapons, pretty much, you get the Man-at-Arms too. So it was always a cool, fun set. So there you go. Thumbs up for that. I should have given it 2 thumbs up on my screen. All right, on to the next year, 1985. This is the year of the Evil Horde. So kids are kind of getting tired of Skeletor, so it's time to bring in a new bad guy, right? A whole new faction. So they bring in Hordak. Now, Hordak in the cartoon had blue skin and, you know, this color head. And if you look at him, a lot of people thought he was Skeletor. So when I see Hordak, I always think he's like a knockoff of Skeletor. He's even got a bat on him, which Skeletor had a bat on his armor. So, a lot of people, when I'd show him when I was a kid, you know, or something like, isn't that Skeletor? No, it's a new character. His name's Hordak. And they're like, yeah, whatever. But, so, I've never really liked Hordak because it just seemed like they just took Skeletor and remade him. Why not give us a really cool Skeletor figure, you know? Maybe put a Skeletor head on him and have the same figure. I don't think we needed a new faction that way, but we could have more bad guys. So I'm cool with the Horde. A lot of the Horde members were bad guys, just not a Hordak fan. He even has red teeth. I mean, does he have too much iron in his system, or what's going on there? All right. So then we have Grizzlor, Beastman knockoff, essential figure number 28. Leech, he's always fun to stick to your bathroom mirror by pushing the button in his back. And he got Mantana with the eyes coming out. He had a switch on his back too as you put it up. Now Mantana would have a thumbs up if his 4 legs were separate 4 legs. So being they're all stuck together, I didn't really give him a thumbs up because the legs stuck together. But he is kind of a fun figure. Modulok. Modulok was awesome. This was like the Lego of He-Man figures. You could take and you could pull them apart, remake them, and rebuild them how you want. 2 heads, 1 head, 4 arms, you know, whatever you wanted to do. It was cool. So Modulok, lots of playability, lots of play value. Really fun figure there. Fright Zone. I never owned the Fright Zone, but I heard a lot of people talk about the puppet falling apart as time went on. In fact, that puppet in the picture looks like it has had better days. But it looks like a pretty fun toy. I'd imagine if I had this, I would actually enjoy it and probably have all kinds of cool adventures on it. Thunder Punch He-Man. Thunder Punch He-Man. Now, Thunder Punch He-Man used caps in his back. You'd load the caps in the back, pull them back, and wham! You know, and he would make this big old pop sound of the cap being shot off. And it almost felt like he actually hit harder when that cap went off. I don't know if he did or not. And the big old pork chop looking, you know, fist he had. So he was always kind of a fun figure. I didn't give him a thumbs up, though, because I didn't actually own him as a kid, but my kids had fun with him. So there you go. Mossman. He smells, and he feels kind of weird against your skin. But kind of cool. Roboto. Now, Roboto, I've had lots of people, you know, say, what color is Boot supposed to be? Purple, red, silver, whatever. If you look at some of the old card art, they do show them kind of purplish silver. I'm not sure, but the more red they get, it means that has soaked through. I've actually used like alcohol wipes, and you clean it off, and it's nice and silvery looking then. So that's one thing you can do. His arm is interchangeability, just like we saw with Trapjaw, but they're not interchangeable between Trapjaw and Roboto because the little bump in the middle of the weapon. And essential figure number 34. Cyclone. Oh, I forgot to pull my Cyclone out. There he is. I just grab him right here. Oh, Cyclone. So, Cyclone, if I had to go to the store with my mom and she said, go and grab one figure, this would be the guy I'd grab. And the reason why I grabbed him is he had so much playability. I'd always leave the shield at home because I did not want to lose it in the car, and I would just sit in the car for hours, not for hours, whatever long I'm always in the store for, and just play with them spinning around, flying through the car, you know, as my mom's in the store shopping. Now, one cool thing about this figure, which it's kind of fun, is you can do almost like puppeteering with him by controlling him. So I used to take it like a bad guy figure. I don't have a bad guy sitting out here. Oh, I guess I can't beat up a woman. The only bad figure I have is her, but I don't want him slapping around a girl. That would be kind of bad. So we'll pick on He-Man. He-Man, you're getting beat up today. So I'd sit in there and take his fists and until like he's whapping He-Man back and forth, almost like how you see the Flash do in some of those episodes. I could do it faster when I was a kid, and it's kind of hard to do on camera. But you can just see how much fun that would be, just slapping a figure around back and forth, you know. So that's what I used to do. It's like he's just whapping somebody in the head by controlling the button. Anyway, even though he's not one of my top 11 figures, he is a really fun figure, and he would be pretty close to the top. But I never really used him much with other figures. It was mostly just alone, just because the thumb action of spinning him was so much fun. See, it's fun now. But I remember my thumb would just be raw after a while from doing this, from spinning him around and around. But he was always a fun figure, so anyway, let me go and put him back in his box over here. Alright, on to the next figure. Dragon Blast Skeletor, again, has a cool spray feature, fill full alcohol, and you can shoot flames out of that dragon. That's always a fun thing to do. Stinkor, cool figure. Stinkor, I gave him a thumbs up. Now, if I was a Masters of the Universe, I would probably be Stinkor. I know it sounds awful. Not by choice, just because that would be my special ability, is awful smell. So there you go. That would be me. Too bad. Too bad no thumbs up, because his hands are like this, up on his shoulders, so he's punching his other head, you know, which, you know, if he just put his arms down and just angled them just right, he could still punch each other, the heads back and forth, but the arms way up just looked ridiculous. And you look at it, and his armor actually goes through his shoulder, you know, and it's like, where's his armor go? It's going through his shoulder? It doesn't even make sense. So this figure did not get a thumbs up. Now, it did come in a flat back and a round back. I prefer the round back better, but essential figure number 39. I did like how they could punch each other. That was kind of a fun feature, but beyond that, you know, that got old kind of quick. Battle Bones. Now, Battle Bones is listed as heroic. I don't know why, because if you look at the picture, they have one side evil, one side good, and it was more of a carrying case. You'd take and you'd pack all your figures in there, you know, it held 12 figures, grab the handle, pick it up, and now you can carry your 12 figures around. And the front jaw would open up, and you would store your weapons inside the front so they wouldn't fall in their hands, like your swords or axes or whatever you had left over, so you wouldn't lose those parts. So the idea of a carrying case, pretty cool, you know, and it's a great way to quickly grab your figures, go to your friend's house, and you got them all right here. Now, before that, you would store your figures inside Castle Grayskull. But this is cool because you don't want to drag your Castle Grayskull to your friend's house. This way you just grab your top 12 figures, stick them on there. Wow, top 12. You know, I could add Cyclone. Right now I'm saying I have my top 11. I can make it a top 12 and stick them all in my Battle Bones and head to my friend's house. How fun would that be? All right. Basha-Saurus. Now, this should have been Fisto's weapon. They could have made the big rock a big fist and that'd been really cool, you know. But anyway, I still consider it Fisto's weapon or Fisto's vehicle because it does do a large pounding and it does make sense to be Fisto's. Night Stalker. Now this one needs to pair with Jitsu for some reason for the two-part pack. I guess they figured if Fisto gets the other horse, then Jitsu gets this horse. And it does kind of match Jitsu's motif, so it does kind of work with him, where the Stridor does not really match Fisto very well. Land Shark. Okay. I know there's people out there that love Land Shark. I am not one of those people. I am not a Land Shark fan. I think the red teeth look ridiculous. And the idea of it, I mean, come on. And it shows Skeletor driving. If someone's going to drive Land Shark, it should be Merman. But anyway, there's Land Shark. Its jaw wide open, up and down. This was fun. Basically, its spider legs would walk, and it would kind of jiggle as it was walking, you know, trying to do its spider thing. Kind of a fun toy. On to the next year, 1986. 1986 brought us the Snake Man. First thing we have is King Hiss. King Hiss would have his snake skin on his human skin over his snake body, and then he'd walk up as heroic and say, "Hey guys!" And then all of a sudden, blam! Out comes the snakes, you know. And you know, it's kind of funny that you know, that he tricked He-Man how many times with this, you know? Hey, look, it's the heroic guy, King Hiss. Ah, he's a snake guy. I mean, you think he would remember after being tricked once. So I almost wonder if after he tricks them, he somehow erases their memory that he used to be the heroic snake guy and now he's the evil snake guy. I don't know. But anyway, cool figure. I had a lot of fun with my King Hiss. As you guys have seen all the videos that I've done on King Hiss, he is really cool. Rattlor. Now, Rattlor would get a thumbs up if he had longer legs. His little short, stubby legs. I mean, I know they had made his torso taller so his head could fit down inside there to go and, you know, reach in and bite someone really quick with a rapid attack. But, yeah, they could have just made him bigger by adding bigger legs on him. But I know they wanted to make it the same height as all the other figures to fit in the same packaging and everything else. So they gave him stubby legs to make up for his larger torso. But he is kind of a cool looking figure. The paint apps on it are amazing. Tongue Lasher. Now this guy, like, he's kind of more of a frog than a snake man. And so it almost makes you wonder, what was this really? And I think it was supposed to be like poisonous villains, you know, because you have like snakes and you got poisonous frogs and you have lizard people. And so I think they changed it to snake men later on, but I believe the original intent was to have like these poisonous, venomous type creatures, because he's more frog than he is snake, you know, so there you go. Flying Fist He-Man, 1986 as well, and this is the chrome He-Man, and he's got some fun play features. No thumbs up for him. Essential figure number 43. Extendar. If you have Extendar, there is no reason now to have Mekaneck. Because Extendar, he does it all. Not only does his head go up, and his waist does, and his arms stick out, and his legs get longer, and his shield gets bigger. You know, he's got it all. And his head ducks down underneath his face thing, so he can hide in case, you know, of attacks and stuff. So, cool, fun figure. No thumbs up, though, even though he is cool. His gold turns green. So I didn't give him a thumbs up for that. As time goes on, you can see his hand in this picture is already kind of turning green. He's got some green spots on his left shoulder, too. So that's one of the problems with this figure is the gold turns green. Rio Blast. Now, when I first saw Rio Blast, I'm like, what? A cowboy in space? But now he's growing on me. He's one of my not my top 11, but he is a thumbs up figure. And I do like Rio Blast, as you guys have seen. I'm working on my Rio Blast thing. I got my Overkill for his bad guy, and I got a horse for him now. And I'm going to put together, hopefully, a cool stop motion of the story of Rio Blast. So hopefully I'll have that pretty soon for you guys to see. Well, it's going to take a while to produce it. So eventually I'll have it for you guys. All right. Rokk-on. He turns into a giant stone. Now, my kids had like 6 or 8 of these Rokk-ons, and they would turn them into stones and place them through the house. And, of course, he had the other guy, too, which we'll talk about in a second. Snout Spout, he is an elephant that squirts water. Again, I didn't give him a thumbs up. Stonedar. This is the other half of the other guy, and he would also turn into a stone and surprise them. And my kids would line all these up, all these rocks, all along the living room for, like, surprise attacks. And then they had their... what was it called? The Thing action figure. You know what? I got one over here. Hold on. I think I have. Nope, I put them away. Oh, well, the only thing I have is this one, but I used to have a bunch of Thing figures that belonged to my kids that they would play with on the shelf there, but I must have put them in some box somewhere. Anyway, this is not the right thing. He's way too big, but you guys get the idea. The Thing. All right, on to the next one. Terror Claws Skeletor. So this is halter top Skeletor, you know, if you will. Now, I know people think it's cool with the big old claws, but remember I told you earlier, compared to this, it's kind of lame. Sorry, Mattel. Essential figure number 49. Essential figure number 15, Hurricane Hordak. Okay, this is kind of cool because, you know, they got a chrome armor on him. He actually has an action feature with spinning weapons, you know, and you can do cool things. And the commercial showed him tearing through foil. The kid made it like a wall out of foil and took the middle weapon in there and spun it, ripped apart the foil. And that always kind of appealed to me is, you know, him ripping that foil open and going through. It's kind of a... did make Hordak more fun. Dragstore. Cool figure. You pull the ripcord, put his elbows down, and zip, he zips forward. Horde Trooper. Thumbs up for him. I know I said I wasn't a Hordak fan, but some of the Horde figures are still cool, though. So, like, Horde Trooper, I mean, he has a button in his chest. He hit it, and he falls apart, you know, so you can actually line a bunch of them up and attack them. And what a cool army-building figure. So, essential figure number 52. Multibot. Now, you mentioned earlier, I mentioned that I liked Modulok, and of course Multibot and Modulok can be intermixed together and make a giant mega monster figure out of them both. So of course if you have one, you got to have them both. Manosaur. If you like Hordak, you got to have this too. It's a cool fun ride, but no thumbs up. I never had this. This looks like it might be fun. I'm not sure even how it totally works. I know the top somehow supposed to spin or something. I don't know if the legs jump to them. That's what I imagine. The legs kind of jump around and the top spins around. But again, I have no idea because I've never owned one. Slime Pit. Now you guys know I've made all kinds of alterations to my Slime Pit. I got a cool video of stop motion of my Slime Pit. But the Slime Pit though, I mean, it's a pretty messy thing. And if you put slime in it and you put the wrong figure in there, you're going to ruin it. And if you were to put, let's see.
Where is man?
Adam's missing. I was going to say Prince Adam because he has, there he is. If you were to put like Prince Adam in there, you know this vest is going to get ruined on there. Or if you were to put like a Mossman in there, it's going to ruin him too. So, you know, it's like, I don't know, did Mattel know this? And they said, okay, let's go ahead and make something that's going to ruin some figures because we can sell more of these Prince Adams if we cover them in slime and ruin them. So, I don't know. Anyway, let's continue on. Eternia. This is a top collector item. I don't own it. Never had it. But boy, it would really be cool to have one. Now, I have heard from people that if you get this Eternia set, do not build the track. The track will break on you from what I understand. So don't build the track. You can get some... I've seen some people online that make track for it. I would definitely get the repo track and use that and you build that and just keep the other track pristine and perfect, never used, so you don't break the tabs where they connect. So, but if you own this top collector item, I mean, it costs a fortune now to get one of these. It is really cool looking though. Blaster Hawk. Never had one, but I guess it shoots discs and holds a guy in the back. Laser Bolt. This is fun. Because Laser Bolt is the only... Alright, time to pull another one out. Is the only vehicle that can hold Ram Man. And so basically you can put Ram Man in here and he can actually ride the Laser Bolt. And it's the first time Ram Man could fit in a vehicle, so it's kind of cool, something for him. Now it's cool is because the Laser Bolt actually would fold down for faster speeds. And then it would come up like it is right now for protection, so it can be, you know, like a shield in case someone's shooting at it. And then, of course, you want to go fast. You fold it down, and it can take off. And yes, Ram Man can finally keep up with the rest of the masters, the rest of the heroic masters of the universe. All right, let's continue on. Jet Sled. Fun toy. One negative is you got to take the figure's armor off to put on the cool little armor that came with it. But that's just one small negative. Oh, the Mega Blaster. Okay, let me get my Mega Blaster. I happen to have one right in this box. Now, this Mega Blaster was pretty cool because you'd wind it up and then it would sit there and keep shooting. Ba-choo, 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 ba-choo. And it always reminded me of like the AT-ATs you would see in Star Wars, you know, those big giant four-legged creatures and with our four-legged machines, the guns shooting like that. Now, when I got my Mega Blaster, my favorite uncle bought it for me. It was one of the last things I got of the He-Man figures when I was a kid. And, you know, you'd stick it on He-Man or somebody else, and this little thing right here was some kind of scope they would look through to line it up. And it's such a cool thing. You know what? I'm not going to put it on now. We don't have time for that. I don't want to make you guys watch too long. But then their hand would fit on here and they'd hold this. And it's just so cool to have this giant. And it brings back so many memories. My uncle passed away a while ago and I really miss him. And so seeing this just brings back the memories of him buying it for me. It was so cool. My Uncle Chuck, he was the coolest. All right, let's continue on. Stilt Stalker, really fun. Same issues as the other thing with the armor. You have to pull off the figure's armor to put it on there, so it's kind of a hassle. Oh, the Fright Fighter. The Fright Fighter, it has these cool switches. It has this one handle you pull as you do, the wings will flap, you know, and then it has another little trigger you pull and the claws would clamp in on your figure and trap them. Now the bad part is the little hooks in the front that are made to hold those guns, those can snap off really easy. Now I have a friend online, he actually has made some repo weapons to replace the guns and the radar dish, the 3 guns in the radar dish, and I got them from him. So I'm in the middle of actually going back through and basically taking an old Fright Fighter and rebuilding it with all new parts and new stickers and everything else. I'm kind of excited. Gonna just basically go through and fix it all up and make it work really good. So I'll make a video showing you guys that. All right, on to the next year. 1987. Clamp Champ. Now Clamp Champ's pretty cool, and I gave him a thumbs up because he's the figure that I used to make my Hebro. So without Clamp Champ, there would not be a Hebro. So there you go. And if you want to know the story of Hebro, check out he-bro.com. He-bro.com. I have the story of Hebro on there. Gwildor. No thumbs up for him. Sorry, Gwildor. Essential figure number 55. Though he's still an essential figure. This was the year of the movie, so we got some cool movie figures. King Randor. Now he's kind of a fun figure. I mean, you got He-Man's dad now. He's dressed in battle armor, ready to go. He's ready to fight against all the other evil masters of the universe with, you know, his son and Clamp Champ and everybody else, you know. But they never made Marlena. Why not Marlena, right? I mean, that'd been a fun figure to have, Marlena. In fact, it's kind of funny. I mean, they could have just released her with She-Ra. They could have made her a She-Ra figure and said She-Ra's mom, you know. And then if kids wanted to get her for their He-Man figures to be next to King Randor, they could. They just go buy the She-Ra, you know, She-Ra's mom. But, you know, that was a miss. They should have made that. That'd been really cool. Rotar, I never owned him as a kid. My kids actually had a Rotar when they were younger. You take and you spin him against the side of something on the bottom, then the top would start spinning on the bottom and set him down. Kind of, you know, it's kind of fun because you can balance him on your finger and do all kinds of other stuff, you know. I never had his bad guy, but we did have Rotar. The Sorceress. She's kind of fun too. Give her a thumbs up. She's got the folding wings. Pull it. You know what? I'll just grab her and show you guys. I'm showing you all these figures anyway. Ta-da! Now, something kind of weird is her arms do not bend the way you think they would. You really can't get them in any cool positions. If her wrist would bend too, then you could. But her arms go sideways really well, but not frontwards. So you can't have her like hand somebody something very easily or fight with a sword in front. But basically you pull the wings back. Shink. They lock in place. Once you have them locked in place, you then kind of wiggle the tail feather. So I can do this right on camera. Never seems to... Oh, there we go. Cha-ching! And out flies her wings. And there you go. So, kind of cool. Now, again, I already had my Protector of Grayskull right here. So, now I had a conflict. Which one do I use? Which one do I use, man? And so, I still used her. I never got this as a kid because I already had my Protector of Grayskull and I was not changing it just because of some cartoon. So, I didn't ever have her. Alright. Beam Blaster and Artillery. Now, I just recently got the Artillery. Mine's broken, so I'm not sure how cool it's supposed to be, but it looks like it'd kind of be fun. Blade. I've never owned Blade. I have no reason to own him. I do have the Classics version, but not the 80s version. I don't know. if you say you have all the figures, you got to have Blade. He's an essential figure number 59, but that's as far as I take it. Blast-Attak. Now, Blast-Attak is really cool. You would take and you would put them together. You'd push the button on his long little string thing, kind of rubbery tube with a black button on it, and boom, he'd blast apart. So when the kids were younger and I'd play with them, we used to pretend like the blast zone was 3 zones. 3 inches from Blast-Attak was zone 1, caused the most damage. 6 inches out was blast zone 2, would cause some damage, but not as bad as blast zone 1. And 9 inches out would then cause the biggest or the smallest blast amount and the least amount of damage. So when the kids were playing, if they had Blast-Attak and they set them off around the other team's figures, we'd have to roll the dice to figure out everyone's damage around there to find out how big the blast or how big the attack was. We had little tape measures we'd pull out. I used to play games with the kids all the time using the figures, and so that's what Blast-Attak was. He was, you push the button and you had to use the dice. I think it was 20-sided dice for the first inside blast, and then 12-sided dice for the next ring, and then I think it was a 4-sided dice for the final ring. So, and that would be the damage that someone could occur from his blast. Anyway, Ninjor. Now, I never owned a full, complete Ninjor. My Ninjor didn't have a hood or his vest over the top of him, so I just had a naked Ninjor. I never had the nunchucks or the sword. I just had the arrow and the bow, but it was also broken too, so had a broken arrow. There you go. So that was my Ninjor. Sarad. Now, Sarad's cool because he had sparks shoot out of his mouth, kind of like the Barbie roller skates or roller blades. You take and you flick the back and the sparks would shoot out. And you'd always see some stupid kid taking his Sarad and putting it in some kid's arm trying to burn it. It's like, hey, what are you doing? So, Sarad. Scareglow. How can you go wrong with a glowing guy that looks like Skeletor? Thumbs up for him. Glowing, and he's evil. And you could also get his extra staff also glowing too sometimes, depending on which one you got. It had a variant there. Twistoid. There you go. There's the other top guy. Essential figure number 64. Buzzsaw Hordak. Now, if I was going to buy a Hordak when I was a kid, it would have been Buzzsaw. But I was already out of figures by this time. But Buzzsaw Hordak's a pretty cool Hordak, and I think he's finally reached his full potential. Where, blam, out comes a Buzzsaw, and then attacks the bad guy. Oh, the bad guy. Attacks the good guy, or it could be the bad guy. Sometimes he fights Skeletor, right? Sure. Attacks the enemy, his enemy, with this giant saw blade that shoots out of his chest. I think it's kind of cool. Kind of clever, Mattel. Good job. Alright, Mosquitor, kind of cool. Basically the same power as Leech, drains the power or the energy, life force from whoever he's fighting. Snakeface. I never liked Snakeface. I just don't even like the way he looks. It looks like some kind of weird statue thing in the wall of Indiana Jones or something. The snake's crawling out of it, It's just, I don't know. It's just I never liked Snakeface. But there he is. His shield's cool, but that's it. Squeeze. Now, Squeeze is a fun figure. I've always liked Squeeze because he has these big old arms, like monkey arms, where he can do all kinds of fun things, do the Doc Ock thing with these large, overreaching arms. So Squeeze was always kind of fun to play with. If I remember right, his arms actually slid, so you can actually make one arm super long and one short, and really reach someone from a long distance. I think they just kind of slid across the top along there, if I remember right. But he was a cool figure. If you look at him, he looks more lizardy than snaky. I'm not sure, but anyway, really, really fun figure. It was always hard to get that purple snake, though, to wrap around his arm just right. You have to try to wrap his arm around to get the purple thing to stay on there. But it was cool. All right. Time to talk about the Meteorbs. So the Meteorbs were basically these little balls that transform into an animal or whatever it may be. And it's supposed to be like little comets that are meteors, I guess, that came through and now they have landed and they open up. I'm guessing there was another toy they were going to make. They said, let's just make this part of Masters of the Universe. Now, I'm not a fan of these. I have the Y in the corner. But if you own these, you are a top collector. They are more rare. So if you own these, top collector, good job. I personally not a fan of it. There's Comet Cat. There's Cometroid. There's Tuskor. An elephant. The elephant's kind of cool, I guess. There's Tiger. Crocobite. Kind of a funny name. Crocobite. Dinosaur. Gorilla. Orb Bear. Who thought up that name? Orb Bear. I don't know. If you have these, hooray, you're a top collector. If you don't, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Rhino Orb. And that's it. All right. On to these cool, awesome things that came out from Italy only. They were 3 different packs. And when I first got these, I got them in the package. Some guy sold them to me at a really good price. And I was so excited about getting them because I remember opening the box, asking my wife, smell the box. Does it smell like Italy to you? You know, and just, you know, kind of fun stuff like that. And this one says it's heroic because it shows man at arms. But if you take a look in the top upper corner, the person hanging down from it is not someone heroic. Right? It shows He-Man, it shows somebody else. So they expect you to buy a bunch of these and use them for both sides, the heroic and the evil side. Here is the tower tools. They're always fun too because you can latch on to Castle Grayskull and do all kinds of stuff. And again, this shows Skeletor having one himself and He-Man. Actually, it's funny. It shows halter top Skeletor. And Scuba Attack. This is a fun one too. And all these things are motorized. They do different things. You put the battery pack on and they're all different kind of motorized things. And this one is kind of cool too. And great bathtub toy. Take it with Merman and, you know, and then you can have Skeletor and then He-Man and, you know, awesome toy for that. And if you own any of these 3, top collector item because they're only released in Italy. All right, Titus, the Giant. He was somewhere between 16 and 18 inches tall. I've heard both mentioned. I never owned him, so I could never measure him to let you guys know. I always heard 18, and someone said, no, he's 16. One person said he was 15, but I know he's bigger than 12, so I know he's somewhere up there in the higher size-wise. So, and he's way bigger than the Titus that we got for Classics. If you have him, bonus item, and he's for top collectors. So that's cool. Then we have his bad guy, Megator, with his stomping kick action. And he's also a bonus figure. Again, if you have him, top collector item. Really cool. Tyrannosaurus Rex. Now, I never owned this, but I did own the small little green thing on the bottom that shoots out and spins. And I remember my kids would wind that thing up and let it go, and it'd go all the way across the living room. And it was just crazy the way it would dart across the living room. And it would just knock figures over left and right if you lined it up just right. So if I had this guy too, that would be kind of fun to have his chest open up and boop, out comes the ball, knocks everybody over. That would be kind of cool. All right, Binotops. Now, Binotops, I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan. Sorry, you guys. I don't like the way He-Man sits on the front of his helmet and then hangs on. You know, he should be behind the helmet. The helmet should help be blocking or shielding from laser fire or something else, or from someone coming with a sword or a battle axe to try to get He-Man. Kind of protects his mid area. But no, they put him right out on front, so he has less protection. It just didn't make sense to me to sit there and ride on his head. I mean, who's going to ride on the head of an animal? You ride on their back. So I never quite got that. Not a fan of Binotops. Sorry, you guys. All right, Turbodactyl. So this is basically a pterodactyl with rocket engines. Kind of fun. These are all part of the Power of Grayskull line. So that's kind of a cool thing. Now, the Power of Grayskull line, it had things like Hero. Oh, thank you, Super 7. Such a cool figure. But we never got Hero. Hero was just a figure they showed in one picture that everyone's like, oh, we got to get this. And they showed Eldor, you know, and he was really cool too. But Super 7 has come through and made us some really cool figures. So we have, in fact, it actually shows him riding Turbodactyl in the box art. So on the Power of Grayskull's line, the Giants, these dinosaurs, and these 2 figures would have been really cool. Now, they did give us another figure, Super 7, which I just showed you a minute ago, and that is Shadow Weaver. Shadow Weaver. And she is really cool too and fits right in with your 80s figures. So Super 7, thank you again. But you should have made a Marlena too. We needed Marlena. I wanted to add her to my 80s figures. And it's so cool to have Marlena. I did make a custom Marlena once, but I ended up selling her because I didn't think she was that great. But maybe someday. All right. on to the next year. The next year is pretty short, 1988. Well, the year is still just as long, 365 days. But the release of figures was not very, very big. We only got 2 figures this year, and that was Laser Power He-Man, which is a bonus figure. I call him bonus because if you have him in your collection, awesome. And if you do have him in your collection, you are a top collector again because he's rare, released only in Italy. And there's more than one variant of this Laser Power He-Man. And Laser Light Skeletor. And again, same thing, rare because he came out only in Italy, and again a bonus figure. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. So we've looked at a lot of figures from the Masters of the Universe. We have our bonus figures, which are our Laser Lights, our Wonder Bread He-Man, and our Giants, and of course the Meat Orbs, which there's 10 of them. Meteor Orbs, Meteor Orbs. I don't know. Meteorbs. Anyway, doesn't matter. So I'm not going to get them anyway, but. If you don't have these figures, don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. So, not counting these figures, there's a total of 68 figures that I'm saying are the essential figures. So, if you have those 68 figures, then you have them all. Let me grab a drink of water, and then we're going to go through all these figures really quick again. I've been talking way too long. So, here we go. Here are the 68 figures. All right. Dun-da-da. He-Man, Man-at-Arms, Teela, Stratos, Skeletor, Beastman, Merman, Zodak, Man-E-Faces, Ram-Man, Evil-Lyn, Faker, Trapjaw, Triclops, Battle Armor He-Man, Buzz-Off, Fisto, Mekaneck, Orko, Prince Adam, Battle Armor Skeletor, Clawful, Jitsu, Cobra Khan, Webstor, Whiplash, Hordak, Grizzlor, Leech, Mantenna, Modulok, Thunder Punch He-Man, Mossman, Roboto, Cyclone, Dragon Blast Skeletor, Spikor, Stinkor, Too Bad, King Hiss, Rattlor, Tongue Lasher, Flying Fist He-Man, Extendor, Reoblast, Rokk-on, Snout Spout, Stondar, Terror Claws Skeletor, Hurricane Hordak, Dragster, Horde Trooper, Multibot, Clampchamp, Gwildor, King Randor, Rotar, Sorceress, Blade, Blast-Attak, Ninjor, Sarad, Scareglow, Twistoid, Buzzsaw Hordak, Mosquitor, Snakeface, and Squeeze. And that was all 68 figures. Alright, you guys. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. I will see you guys next video. Tell your friends about this video. Let them know about all the cool figures that came out in the 80s and how much fun it was. And I will see you guys next video. Bye now.